Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome everybody to our next installment, I guess, of our weekly careers Q&A session. My name is Corinne, and I've got our awesome Jackie, who's one of our careers education consultants here this afternoon to chat all things online workshops, or not online workshops, sorry, virtual internships, work experience, and volunteer work. So welcome, Jackie.
Hi, Corinne. How are you going?
Very good, thank you. Enjoying this lovely spring sunshine. It's lovely, isn't it?
Right. You might be in a different place to me.
Oh, you don't have the sunshine.
I've got rain here.
Oh, I know.
But,
We've got different...
and gone back to the heater and everything. You know, my dog's still in bed with the dressing gown over him. He's so cold.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, we've definitely come from different parts of Sydney there, but that's okay.
Right. The joys of a large city.
That's
anyway,
exactly
let's get started. We've got some good things to answer this morning. So
we do.
Thanks students for their questions.
Absolutely, yes. We've had some really great questions coming from students on our Instagram page and on our Facebook page asking all about internships, volunteer work and all those different topics. So I thought it'd be really cool to kick things off talking a little bit about virtual internships, because for the current time and place that we're in at the moment, that seems to be the most relevant. So maybe, Jackie, you're the expert on this. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about what virtual internships are and students who are interested in pursuing those, how they can go about doing that?
Yeah. Great. Well, one of the cool things that's come out of COVID, and there's a few things that have certainly ramped up in terms of technology, but during the time of COVID, it's obviously been difficult to go out and do a lot of real internships. But that's not to say that some are not still happening. There are internships still occurring, but a lot of companies have really gone and discovered and created online internships, virtual internships. I guess there's a few different types. There's ones that you would still have to pay for if you're going through some sort of learning institution. Sometimes they will offer you internships, which is part of your package. Then there are internships that you would get paid for. You're very lucky if you've got one of those. And some of those have gone online. And you would apply for those through the normal procedures, and I'll show you some of those at the moment. I just want to make the distinction first. And then the third type are virtual internships that are completely free, that any number of people can do. You don't have to. You don't even have to complete them. You can start as many as you like. You might not finish them in order to get a bit of a trial. And those ones are really, really good. So maybe I'll start by talking about those free virtual internships. And there's a company called Inside Sherpa. Can we put something in the private? Can I chat here?
Absolutely. I can put a link in there.
Okay. I've got a couple of links here that I thought I would add in. So maybe this is the first one. So we're talking about Inside Sherpa, and these guys, they've actually been doing it for a while, even before COVID, and they do some really cool things. They have gone to some of the larger corporations, like John Holland for engineering, Minter Ellison's for law, Accenture, chartered a number of different chartered accountants, PwC, Ernst & Young, and they've worked with them to develop internships that mimic the type of internship you would do if you were actually working with them in person.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a method in their madness. They don't look at each. So what it is? Sorry, let me backtrack. They will, when you do the internship, it's about 12 hours. You can start as many as you like. They will give you 3 assignments during that internship time. And so what you will do is you will do a replica of an assignment that you would do if you were actually working in their organization. And they have got their own interns to create some model answers. So when you submit your assignment, your assessment, or your not an assessment, but your assignment, your project that you'd worked on, you will not be given you're not marked on it, but you will be given back a model answer. This is what your answer should look like. And so you can compare your answer with the model answer, right? So you have to do your own critiquing. But that's fine. This is what happens when you get access to as many as you like. You know, obviously they can't give you feedback for each one of them. And so you will do 3 of those assessments or projects, and you'll get a model answer for each one. And at the end, you will get a certificate of completion to say that you have, which you can put on LinkedIn or wherever. Now, I said there's some method in their madness in that whilst they don't look at each one, they do, I guess, that they keep a bit of an oversight over it. And if there are some good ones coming through, they can use this as a bit of a talent pool, you know. And so for the ones that they see, I have heard that they will sometimes send an email to maybe a range of people. Maybe they look at it after 3 months or something. They'll send emails out to those ones that they think were good and say, hey, how about applying for, you know, a real internship or for our graduate program or for something, right? And I know of a number of people who have had been headhunted by some of those companies because of the work that they did in their virtual internship. One guy, this is a great story. This is one guy from Western Sydney, and the reason I know about this is because people from Inside Sherpa, they actually contacted us and they said, "Hey, you've got this really cool guy. He's done 5 different internships."
Wow!
And at the end of the 5th one, we just reached out to him and said, "Hey man, that's cool. You know, you've done some really good stuff." And he emailed back to them and said, "Hey, I wonder whether there's a possibility that you might be able to introduce me to a particular company." And they said, "Well, you know, you've shown such persistence and such quality, you know, we'll give it a go." And so they actually reached out to a company, and he ended up with a job from that. Now, I'm not saying that that'll work for everybody, and he put in quite a lot of effort, and obviously, you know, showed some good stuff. But that was a really a good example of somebody who had a great result from it. Other things I've heard were things like it was a guy, an engineering guy. He did one of the construction ones. He said the first assignment was a big. They sent you out a plan that you had to analyze. He said, I looked at that plan. He said, I looked at that plan for about 2 hours. He said it was nothing like anything I had seen before in the uni. He said, but I slowly got my head around it. And he said, after I completed it, he said, when I went back to my uni work, he said, I had such a better idea of what was going on. He said, because I'd actually seen the practical application in the workplace. So,
wow.
There's some really good things that come out of it. They're in all different disciplines. There's some stuff working with government agencies. There's some marketing things. There's a social work one there which talks about ethics. So yeah, it's a chance to sort of test out. So they are virtual internships. The link is there.
Yes.
And while we're talking about internships, I might take my very sophisticated and of course in living colour, or at least I am. This is my home printer. Some things get lost a little bit in translation when you're working from home. This is the page that you come into when you come on to Career Hub. And if you click on this one up here, it's the first on the landing page, and you click on that tile, it will take you through to internships and some internship jobs. And Corinne, I'm guessing that you are just searching for that link there now.
I've just popped the link in the comment section for anyone who's watching at the moment.
Actually, I've got, is that the link to... Okay, I've got the link especially to that page. Maybe that one. I don't know maybe you're putting the link to Career Hub, maybe? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll pop the other one in there too.
Yeah, okay. So if you go onto that internship page, you'll find the link to Inside Sherpa, but you'll find a link to a whole lot of other companies that provide internships as well, right? And the companies that we've specifically chosen there are ones that do, especially for students and graduates. So it's not your general stuff. Well, I guess internships are usually for students and graduates anyway, but for students actually, graduates don't do internships. Companies are not looking for graduates for internships, so maybe that's that's another tip. Once you've graduated, it's a little bit harder to get internships because internships are usually for a shorter period of time, and usually they look for people in their final year. To do, because they use it as it's not just a way to get work done, and oftentimes students don't do work at the same rate of people who've been in the job for a little bit longer, but it's definitely seen as an avenue where they can look for talent, you know. So you might do an internship, 10 people might do an internship with a particular company, and they'll tap 2 or 3 on the shoulder and say, hey, apply for our graduate program, and you know, we'll look at you very favorably. So good, get into internships maybe towards the end of your second year, definitely in your third year, because it's one of those, it's a great lead in to a graduate job. Also on that site, we have identified whether they will take international or domestic. So look for the I or the D. Now, that doesn't mean that every job or every internship there is available to internationals, but it means that that site does have a mixture of international and domestic. If you're an international student, you really do need to look for the wording that says, you know, you must have particular working rights or whatever. And that will depend on whether, if it's a full-time internship, then it's going to be not possible probably for internationals, unless maybe it's in your holidays. If it's a part-time internship, then it might be a possibility.
I was going to say, Jackie, we had a really good question come in from Johnny Newen, and he said, how can students make the most of a virtual internship? And I guess some tips that you would give to students who are currently undertaking one or looking to undertake one. Would there be anything you'd say to them?
So I guess it's different as to whether it's a virtual internship that you have applied for and you've won the position. Obviously, that is you need to think of that in exactly the same way that you would deal with a job. And then you need to think about all of the things about working remotely from home. So any sort of virtual internship, the trick is about your availability, about your own personal discipline, about setting up a space for yourself that you know, when you are interacting with other people from the company, you know, you haven't got your washing in the background, or, you know, maybe, you know, if you've got any way to make put on the wall stuff that is maybe certificates of excellence, or, you know, if you're a star performer in the soccer or something, you know, it might be a picture of you with a shield or something. There's ways that you can subliminally put across information, you know, through your background, maybe through the title that, you know, what you call yourself when you go on screen. But of course, that's when you're doing the face-to-face stuff. All of the stuff that you're doing behind the scenes is exactly the same as if you were doing an internship live in the workplace. You know, it's about what you deliver on. For the virtual internships that I was talking about with Inside Sherpa, well, what I would suggest is, you know, go on, have a look, try a couple, and, you know, then put your efforts into the one that you think you're going to be able to get the most out of it and commit to. All of these things are really about commitment. You have to take it on as if it really is a job. So many times we see students who join our programs. We've just had Interchange. We've just had Global Scope. You know, these are fantastic opportunities, which are sort of like pseudo internships. They're not as long as an internship, but they're an opportunity for you to interact in an internship-like way with employers, with other students working in a group. And we get some people who get on board with these things. And I know Johnny is one of those people. You know, his name crops up in so many different places. You know, by the time he's finished his degree, Johnny, you have got so much experience, you know, that you are one of those people that the students, that employers go, I want somebody with experience, and he's one of the people that will get it. And the other students who've started something and maybe dropped out or didn't think that it was a time for them, they're going, well, how come I didn't get experience, you know? And this is why. Johnny gets in there first. Andrew's another one. I saw Andrew Fong came up there. When you talk to Andrew about what he's done, he's like done 3 or 4 overseas internships or internships of a kind. So when we use the word internship, it could apply to a number of different things. It could apply to an exchange program, you know. It could apply to an overseas volunteering. Like, what employers are looking for from an internship is where you've done something, where you have done some work-like activities as a student. It might be volunteering, might be internships, might be virtual internship, exchange program. Any of those things add up to, you know, experience on your resume, as do part-time work. So even it doesn't have to be directly related, but what they're looking for is your ability to commit to something, to get involved in something, and maybe to get involved in more than one thing. A few different things. So I don't know if I answered that question.
No, absolutely. No, you certainly did, Jackie, and I totally agree with you. Like, getting involved is the best way to sort of get that great experience on your resume, and it looks fantastic. Employers love seeing that you've been involved and excited about the things you're doing. So really good tips. And on that same sort of note, we sort of started to mention volunteer work, and we actually had quite a few questions coming about volunteering, and a few students were asking, what are the benefits of volunteering, and how can students access virtual volunteer opportunities? Is it the same sort of thing as intern Sherpa? Are there websites for that? Where can students go?
Okay. I actually haven't Googled virtual volunteering, but I know that, for instance, the UN, I should have, maybe you can Google this one for me while I'm talking. Google UN volunteering, and maybe put in the word virtual or something, but you can do a lot of work with United Nations. They do stuff like they look for volunteers who can work on a website or can be on a committee for somebody, for a project in Africa or in India. And they have some, pretty amazing projects that they want people to work on. They're looking for some level of skill, either in terms of managing other people or giving ideas or writing or doing, IT type stuff. It could be Facebook. It could be doing some stuff on their websites. So there's quite some interesting stuff that the UN is doing. Have you managed to find any a link there?
Yeah, we've popped it up in our comment section, so it's all there now to see. Okay,
great. Sorry, when I sent you those links, okay, you've put them up. Good. I put them in the wrong spot. I guess if you Google virtual volunteering, maybe there's some stuff possibly going on in Australia. Certainly there'd be things like with Indigenous communities, other community work maybe has some stuff, particularly at the moment. It wasn't typical before this. But I think this has changed the whole situation about how people interact virtually across the world. So now you have the opportunity to jump onto an assignment in Chile or something, whereas you never did before. So that's as far as I've discovered about virtual volunteering at the moment. But lots of for volunteering in general, if you go on to my go-to for this is usually Seek Volunteer. And I think that taps into a lot of other volunteering places. Although if you just Google volunteering, there's Volunteering New South Wales, there's environmental, there's a whole lot of stuff. So just Google it. But Seek Volunteer allows you to do a search in the same way you did search for a job. So you can search by location, it might be within 10 k's of my house. You could search by the type of work that you want to do or the type of organisation that you'd want to be involved in. So that's a good one to go to. And in terms of what does volunteering, how does volunteering help? I guess most people think about volunteering as helping out with the soup kitchen or standing at the station collecting money or something like that. But volunteering is so much more than that. There's so many organisations that are run by volunteers. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I joined the Parramatta Brass Band. Okay, volunteer organisation. Then nobody's paid for that, but they need somebody to run their Facebook, somebody to look after their website, somebody to do their accounting and their memberships, somebody to do teaching and training of new members coming along, somebody to manage their meetings, keep the agendas. It's exactly the same as a workplace, and oftentimes the people that get involved in these organisations, whether it's Scouts or the band or the local football club or the tennis club or Rotary, or all of those need those professional skills to run them in the best way that they can. And you'll find that those organisations that work really well are the ones that have got people who are providing professional services to them. So you'll find all of that stuff when you look on Seek Volunteer, or maybe an organisation that you already know of. Maybe it's a church organisation. Maybe you belong to a dance club. They all need people to organise them, and that's the sorts of skills that show up that employers look for. So volunteering, absolutely the way to get experience. What I would say is, at the beginning of your study, start doing with the first step might be volunteering. Maybe it's doing something that you just enjoy. Just get involved in the club, and then as you get to know them more, then you can put up your hand and say, hey, maybe I can get involved in whatever. Then maybe you use that experience to move on to another club or some other volunteering. Then you use that to move on to internships, because a lot of these things, the further up the rung you go, the more competitive they get. So if you're looking for a paid internship, they're quite competitive, and they're looking for people who've had experience. And when they say experience, they mean somebody who maybe has done an unpaid internship, or who's done a virtual, or who's done some volunteering. Okay, I see the clock ticking away here. There's one other thing that I haven't mentioned.
Oh, yes. I was going to say one more thing that we did get asked, Jackie, was actually, does volunteering have to be specific to your field of work or your degree? Yeah. Is that
So no, it doesn't. But what we're looking for is transferable skills, right? So no matter what degree you do and no matter what job you do, you will have to do, the generic graduate capabilities, problem solving, critical thinking, communication skills, report writing, project management, so all of these things can happen in any field. So what you're trying to do is develop those skills of responsibility, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to think, knowing how to question, working in groups, all of those things. So it doesn't matter what you get involved in. Employers just want to see that you've developed those skills, and then they can train you and transfer those skills into the particular organisation you're in. So the one last thing that I wanted to mention was that while you're a student, we have another option for you, which is called unpaid work experience, which may not be degree related. Which may not be compulsory for your degree, but it should be degree related. So if you, for instance, it's a little bit like your Year 10 work experience, if you remember back to that, where maybe for somebody who is an engineer, for instance, they might want some experience checking plans in a factory for manufacturing, say. So they might approach a couple of different factories and say, hey, I'm looking for some unpaid experience. Is there a chance that, I might be able to come and do this for you? I've got these skills. I want to practice them. Now, not everybody has an opportunity or a place where you can even do that. Maybe it's a small factory. They haven't even got room for you for a desk. But if you ask around, and my general rule of thumb is, get a list of 20 places, start looking, you'll probably find 3 or 4 out of 20 that will say, okay, tell me a little bit more about this. We have a program called the Do-It-Yourself Work Experience Program. Maybe we can put a link into that one as well. Can you just, if you go onto Career Hub and find that.
I'll get it sorted.
Yep. And that will take you through a step-by-step guide about how to do that. And if you've found and identified an opportunity that you think would be useful for you, we can provide the insurance. So a company will need to know that you have insurance to cover you in case you have an accident or in case you break something. So we've got, while you're a student, we can cover you for something like that. But it does need to be something that's related to your degree. You will fill in a form for us, and we'll have a look at it and say, yes, it's definitely going to be helpful. We can sign off on that. Or we might say, why are you doing that? It's not really related, and we can have a chat about it and see if we can find something that is more suited. We have a rule of thumb that is for a company that is a corporate that's not a not-for-profit, 80 hours we suggest. Whereas if it's a not-for-profit, we will sign off on up to 140 hours. Our aim is to protect you from being exploited and being, made to work over an extensive period of time. And it gives you an opportunity that maybe after the 80 hours you say to them, look, the uni won't progress it any further, but I'm happy to work. It allows you to have that conversation. They might pay you after that. And I do know of many situations where people have been chosen to, maybe work at that company, or where they know somebody else and they make a recommendation. So it's a good opportunity. I think we've got the link in there. Yeah, we've got the guide in there.
Popped it in there for everyone.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, Jackie, there's so many great tips there.
So, lots to get through in that short amount of time.
That's okay.
Good luck with that. Come along to our World of Work sessions, which run Monday, Wednesday. Very quiet on a Friday. So if you're wanting some personal advice, come along on a Friday. We do have some bookings for consultations available. If you go onto Career Hub, you can have a look at the bookings in the tab. They're usually booked up about 2 weeks in advance. That's why I say go along to World of Work, and you'll get easier access and earlier too. Yeah. So or ask us a question on the Career Hub as well.
Yes, absolutely. Career Hub's got all those things there as well. You can ask a question on there and it'll be sent straight through to our careers education consultants as well. So awesome. But Jackie, thank you so much for the time you've taken today to talk to us all about internships, work experience, volunteering. It's been so cool to hear all about how many opportunities there are out there for students and for graduates, and how much we can be doing at the moment to sort of amp up our resumes just a little bit as well.
Yeah, great time to do it now. Try and snap up a couple of those opportunities. It's still a little bit competitive. You might have to make an application and you think, why am I doing all this work when I'm not even going to get paid? But, it's about what you learn yourself. It's not about the certificate you get at the end. It's about what you learn about yourself, about the workplace, the confidence that you gain, and you might not think about it to start with, but once you start, you'll go, I didn't realize that there was so much I could learn. And every student that's done work experience or done volunteering, that's what they tell us. They come back and they go, I didn't know all of that. I didn't realize, It's the same in the workplace, There's lots of jobs out there. We have no idea what they're about. And then we get the job and we go, a whole new world has opened up.
That's exactly right. And it's such a cool way to think that will happen. So awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. And thank you, Jackie. If you have got any further questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. We'll still be monitoring this video as well. So, yes, we'll still keep answering your questions. So no problems there.
Great. All the best, guys.
Have a very good rest of your day, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.